to Well Drafted, an architecture and design podcast. Creative, crazy, and curious. Hi, I'm Shrina, an aspiring architect, and this show is here for us to connect. I'm your host for the show. Come join me as I take you through an array of architecture and design discussions. Hello everyone. Today we have Manit Patel with us, who is a practicing architect under the names Alkesh Patel and Associates. He has been practicing for 3 years now. He's very passionate about material tectonics and spatial designing. He's further on his way to pursue his master's in architecture from University of Michigan in United States. So hi Manit, we are very excited to have you here today. So let's talk about subjects and concepts that you are taught in architecture school. So can you tell us what kind of subjects you did when you were in bachelor's of architecture?
In my bachelor's, when I was pursuing, it was a modular system where you have to go through certain subjects, but in a way that they are not taught parallelly, but they are distributed in different modules. So if you start with skill module, it is a skill development module, which is for 1 week. And then the design process comes, which is a basic design principles which are taught. It goes for 2 weeks. Then technical module comes, which has structures as well as building construction. And then finally the studio arrives, which is meant to be the application of all the knowledge you gathered throughout the semester from different modules.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had about 4-5 subjects.
Yes.
Modules, as you said.
Yes, modules.
And all the modules had different kinds of topics that were given every semester. Is it?
Yeah. Each semester there were different kind of studios, and according to the studios, the modules were designed.
Right. So was this system actually helpful? Like, I know a lot of schools that do parallel system, but this is something different that I'm listening to.
Yes, so from my perspective, I thought that it was helpful because at the end, when studio arrives, studio is the main subject in architecture. So at the end, you have learned all skill, technical, design process, history, and you have to apply it in 8 weeks. You have got 8 weeks constant working on studio.
Yeah.
So you can keep your mind aside and work on the design process of your project.
That's right. So what was your favorite subject? Actually, Manit and I went to the same school, so we both did module systems.
Yes.
And I actually do agree with you, Manit, that it helped schedule our focus on designing during studio time instead of focusing on assignments.
It majorly taught us the evolution of a project from point A to
point B. Yeah. So what was your favorite subject? And you can also tell us one favorite exercise from that subject you did throughout your 5 years, whenever.
Okay. So as I mentioned, studio is the most important part of architectural studies. So studio was one of the favorite subjects, but at times I was inclined towards technical module where some kind of exercise which comes of structure and you have to physically make actual material models, and so one of the instance I remember, the fun exercise was we designed a apple structure model.
Okay. What did you do in that?
We have to have a cantilever of 60 centimeter.
Okay.
And the height was 60 centimeter tall.
Okay.
And 60 centimeter cantilevered, and we have to support an apple.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
With the counterweight or whatever you can think about.
Yeah.
So it was just in our first semester.
Yeah. Were you successful?
No.
I'll tell you, I was successful. I don't know how, but I was successful.
Yeah.
Structures it was, right?
Yeah, it was structures.
I think favorite subject has always been history. Because you sit down and you start talking about architecture, which is it's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
But also the subject teachers were awesome.
Yeah. Definitely.
So studios, as you said, are main subject.
Yes.
Let's actually, before coming to the studying part of the studio,
Yeah.
let's tell everyone why studios are actually fun instead of sitting in lectures. You know, it's actually a, what do we say, a privilege as an architecture student to have studios. So, what are your favorite studio memories?
Especially studios and in a module system. It was amazing to have studios in module system because you've got 8 weeks, and as an architecture student you love to design.
Yeah.
So it's full of designing and everything. So in studios we start with site visits. We go on site, measure draw, site analysis.
Yeah.
Then whole class gets together and makes
We
a
dreadfully
model.
finish our site model.
Yeah, after so many redos.
Yeah.
We finish our models, and then now the designing part of every individual comes in. And before that there are analysis which you do as a group in classes, but at the end the inferences of analysis will help to design you. It will help you to design a better space according to the context.
That's right.
So
But
that's why.
that transition, like just because you mentioned now, like this flowchart, that transition was actually crazy, right? That we all started together as a group,
Yes.
and then somehow that entire group thing went on to becoming an individual thing.
Yeah.
And it was fun. But of course, this is the studying part.
Yes.
But of course, you were quite, like, I would not say sincere, but comparatively sincere. And I was obviously one of the naughty ones. But I think my favorite thing to do in the studio was, come to the studio in the morning when we have like those attendances.
Yeah.
And then just do the attendance and go back to sleep. Because nobody comes until you have a discussion.
Yeah.
But why don't you share your favorite studio, what you did in that studio, and how it went?
Okay. So my favorite studio would be my thesis, but I'm keeping my thesis apart.
Yeah.
And I'm selecting a material studio.
Okay.
Where first thing was I was so excited about my site. It was
Okay.
a Le Corbusier's designed residence. It
Which
was
one?
a Shodhan Villa.
Okay.
So first of all, the site was engaging.
What did you have to do?
So site visits was not allowed in a residence because
Yeah.
it's a private property.
Yeah.
So we went. They told us to move around the property. You
Yeah.
can go around the landscape, but we were peeping inside the window. And we saw many things, many elements. And we had a secondary source like Le Corbusier's book, and we have drawings regarding the Shodhan Villa. But
So
we
much.
were moving around the landscape, and that was the major part that you can experience around the context,
Okay.
what the site is. And it was like a controversial project
Okay.
because
So
we were designing it in a metal
were you
structure.
redoing the structure? What were
No,
you doing?
we were having a insert in the
Okay.
site itself.
Okay.
We have to design a program and discuss it with the faculty, and faculty will give their points. So it was a controversial project.
Okay.
Somehow it was not feasible, but it was fun to have that exercise. We were having a viewing deck inside.
You made a viewing deck
Yeah.
for Shodhan Villa.
Yeah.
So this only architects can do. Make a viewing deck for a building from its garden.
So
How did it go?
It was like Le Corbusier's one of the structures which is alive in Ahmedabad. There are 4 structures, but this one is a residence. But if it was interpreted as a heritage site,
Okay.
the viewing decks will accompany, and there was a cafe as well. So the program was such. It was designed by faculties and students together. Yeah.
A lot of interesting inserts we did that.
Yeah,
studio.
yeah.
What material did you
So
work with? Because it was a material studio.
I used aluminium, and it was completely opposite to the concrete building. So there was a concept in that studio that I used camouflaged
Okay.
because the privacy of the residents should not be disturbed.
Right.
So I tried to hide those viewing decks behind the trees.
Okay.
It can just be a public access route.
Yeah.
It was kind of designed like a promenade,
Yeah.
where one enters and exits, but
Okay.
the private property is not disturbed.
So you, this is your favorite studio, as
Yeah,
you said,
yeah.
and you loved doing it.
Yeah.
But because I have seen that jury, can you tell everyone? So people understand that your favorite work, something that is so close to your
Yes.
heart and you're passionate about, doesn't always turn out the way
Yes,
you plan.
yes,
So tell
definitely.
everyone a little bit about your jury and how it went.
So the first point was made that this thing is never possible.
Yeah,
This
we
is
know.
totally hypothetical. But if given
Yeah.
these conditions,
Mm-hmm.
then it's fine.
Yeah.
But in the jury, there were many fights happening between me and the juror,
Yeah.
as well as my guide.
But it was a healthy discussion.
Yeah, it was a healthy discussion, and it turned out to be something interesting because you can never imagine a viewing deck in a private
You can't,
residence.
yeah. And you don't get to do such a project
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
think this is also what studios are about.
Yeah.
We didn't realize it when we were students.
Yes.
But you get to explore something that you will maybe never do in
Never
real
do
life.
it. Yeah.
Right? So now that we've talked about our favorite studios, I think even mine has been material
Material
studios. And
studio.
actually no, mine was urban design.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
You designed in Aranya, right?
Yeah, I did a community center, and the entire concept of the community center was it was a street pattern
Oh, okay.
that was designed by B.V. Doshi.
B.V. Doshi, yes.
So at an urban level, we had I don't remember the name, but yeah, Indigo Architects.
Yes.
So Uday Andhare
Uday
sir,
Andhare sir.
he came for the jury and he was very impressed by the concept.
Oh.
And urban design itself is a good subject that I like.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting thing.
So you didn't tell me, you didn't expand on your favorite
Yeah.
subject.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite subject?
Okay. My favorite subject has to be narratives in architecture.
Yeah.
Because architecture is not always about execution. It is so much more the larger idea of concepts, how you are dealing with space, how community, culture,
Yes.
all these intangible aspects that we are learned to deal with
Yes.
start playing to the building, and narratives help develop that concept.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know how it really works on on-time projects, but I think concepts and narrations are so important to deliver good and different projects, which I learned.
Yes.
So I think that has to be my favorite, and studio, of course, all-time favorite.
Yes.
But yeah, so now that we've talked about our favorite subjects, let's talk about one subject that you thought was not useful at all for you. There is nothing like not useful, but for you it was not useful.
Acha.
Okay, so tell us which subject was not useful for you at all.
So for me, initially in our initial years, it was like a process when you begin with skill module. As I mentioned earlier, skill module, then technical comes, and then history is somewhere. Even environmental studies comes in, and then there was a 1 week part where there is a design process before design project.
Oh yeah.
So design process I thought was irrelevant because it has nothing to do with the site where you are going to do your project in studio, as well as it has nothing to relate with concepts and anything. So for me it was irrelevant. Instead of that, I think there was a subject called professional practice, which was in our later stages of architecture. So it might be given importance before professional practice.
I agree with this topic that professional practice, I think, needed so much more involvement in our curriculum.
Yes.
Because I think we did it for 2 weeks. Even
Exactly.
I think it was not enough. Projects and work, it becomes so difficult when you don't know professional practice and how the system or the firm works.
Yeah.
So if I could go back and change something about our curriculum, I think professional practice. Yeah, me too.
I think it should be divided in two parts. One is before your internship and one is after your internship.
So true.
It would be better.
So what would you? So before the internship, we have sort of done. Like
yes.
that